Gurudev, Srila Gurudev. Jai Om Vishnupad, Paramhams, Parivrajacharya, Ashtotasat Srimad Srila Abhaya Charnara Vrind, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki Jai, Ananda Gauri Vaishnava Vrind ki Jai, Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur ki Jai, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande Hari Bol. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees, Hare Krishna. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Jai. Today we'll be reading from Canto 3 of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled The Status Quo. Chapter 15, Descriptions of the Kingdom of God. Text 2. We'll all do Mangal Chara. Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namah Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalan Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vangsha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vashadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiraye Nashtaprayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Jai. Text 2. Loke tena hata loke loke tena hata loke lokapala hataujasa lokapala hataujasa nyavedayan vishvasrije navedayan vishvasrije dvanta vyatikaram disham loke tena hata loke tena hata lokapala hataujasa nyavedayan vishvasrije dvanta vyatikaram disham Vaishnava. Lokapala hataujasa nyavedayan vishvasrije dvanta vyatikaram disham loke tena hata loke lokapala hataujasa nyavedayan vishvasrije dvanta vyatikaram disham loke tena hata loke lokapala hataujasa nyavedayan vishvasrije dvanta vyatikaram disham loke within this universe tena by the force of the pregnancy of Diti, ahata, being devoid of, aloke, light, lokapalaha, the demigods of various planets, hata ojasa, whose prowess was diminished, nyavedayan, asked, vishvasrije, Brahma, Dvanta Vyatikaram, expansion of darkness, Disham, in all directions. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Abhaya Charnavan, Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. By the force of the pregnancy of Diti, the light of the sun and moon was impaired in all the planets. And the demigods of various planets, being disturbed by that force, asked the creator of the universe, Brahma, what is this expansion of darkness in all directions? Purport. It appears from this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam that the sun is the source of light for all the planets in the universe. The modern scientific theory, which states that there are many suns in each universe, is not supported by this verse. It is understood that in each universe there is only one sun, which supplies light to all the planets. In Bhagavad Gita, the moon is also stated to be one of the stars. There are many stars, and when we see them glittering at night, we can understand that they are reflectors of light, just as moonlight is a reflection of sunlight. Other planets also reflect sunlight. And there are many other planets which cannot be seen by our naked eyes. The demoniac influence of the suns in the womb of Diti expanded darkness throughout the universe. Joy. So here we are seeing the product of a bad decision. The product of the bad decision has now come. So these two wonderful personalities, incarnations of Jaya and Vijaya, Hiranyaksh and Hiranyakashipu, have now appeared. And in the previous shloka, it has been mentioned that Satam, that they were kept in the womb for 100 years. Right? Because Diti was worried. Diti was worried that if I give birth to these two children, there's going to be a problem. Right? We will notice this interesting concept. Like when I was reading this in the morning, I just realized an interesting coincidence that Diti kept for 100 years in her womb 2 children, right? And Gandhari for 2 years kept 100 kids in a pot. Interesting, isn't it? Like how the numbers all sometimes mix and match. No relation, but just the numbers mix and match. Sometimes numerology in Krishna consciousness. So here we will see that the 2 sons have been kept for 100 years in the womb. Right? So they are growing in the womb. They are gaining knowledge. So the idea here is that even though the child may be in the womb, it is gaining knowledge. It is perceiving knowledge. Right? Do you know when my son and my daughter were in the womb, sometimes a bright light would come, the child moves in the womb. A very bright light. If you shine a very bright light, the child moves. Because it can perceive. It has sense perception. Although in darkness. Right? Now if you remember the 3 analogies of ignorance that is given in Bhagavatam. One is the smoke and fire. Right? The second one is, I think dust, right? Mirror and dust, right? So mirror and dust. And then the third one is the child in the womb. And of the 3, the child in the womb is considered the most darkness, right? Because it's a very dark place. You're crumbled up, you're crouched up, and then your senses are not able to fully perceive. So it is considered the highest form of tamishra. But even there, your senses function. So that's why when they say balam indriyam griham, that the senses are so powerful that even in the darkest place they can sense something. Right? So this is one understanding, right? Now here, when we see that the children are born from the womb, right? They don't shed the darkness. It is explained that when the child is born, you shed the darkness and you come out into the light. Right? So you shed. But here the children, they have inculcated that darkness. And now they have come out with such prowess that the light of the sun and the moon are impaired. Now there are 2 ways to impair the light of sun and moon. One is through an eclipse. When Rahu and Ketu, they cover. Right? So that is one way of impairing light. One method of impairing light. That a big body comes and it stands in front of the sun and the moon. Right? That is one method. The other method of doing this is where you get, and if you see the Sanskrit here, Hatau Jasa. Hatau Jasa means, Ojasa means vitality. You have vitality, you have strength. Right? So that's how you function. Hata Ojasa means it becomes diminished. Hata, it gets diminished. Right? So Hata Ojasa, your vitality has now been diminished. So what happened is when the 2 boys were born, the vitality of the demigods came down. It reduced. So the luminosity of the sun and the moon reduced. So this is some amazing personalities. That they were able to suck out the vitality of the demigods. Right? And we will notice in the journey of Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu, there will be numerous instances where they will even destroy the vitality of the demigods. Not even just suck it down, but actually destroy it. Right? So they are very powerful personalities, Hiranyaksha and Hiranyakashipu. And of course, Jaya Vijaya in their subsequent births, they always harass the demigods. They are perpetual harassers of the demigod. Right? So here, the Hatha Ojasa is coming because they have diminished their vitality. Now, another key thing we can observe here is the importance of light. And here the Sanskrit is aloke. Aloke means light. And light plays a vital part in our existence. Right? Many of us like the nightlife. Right? In modern society, nightlife is considered great. You work hard during the day and you enjoy in the night. But for that enjoyment, you need light. Right? Imagine the place is completely dark. You don't enjoy. You need light to enjoy. You need to be able to see what you're doing. Right? So the idea of vision, and vision in such a way that one can see one's enjoyment, is great. And so this is interesting. We want to see our enjoyment. And for devotees, this is a struggle. Because when we are observing, we are seeing people laughing in the street, enjoying their mobile phones, enjoying their cars, and we are thinking, I am not enjoying. Because we can't see it. Are you noticing? We can't see it. So we are thinking we are not enjoying. No, devotee is enjoying. Right? But devotee is enjoying internally. So yes, the sense cannot perceive it. Right? If you see the beauty of sense, right? I was telling my son also, I'm like, your face is like an antenna dish. Like, the dish of an antenna. All the senses are here in the antenna dish. Receiving, perceiving. You got your skin, you got your ears, you got your nose, you got your tongue, and you got your eyes. It's all here. And the senses are all perceiving outwardly. All our senses look outward. Eyes are looking out, ears are hearing inside, nose is smelling outside in, skin is touching inside and telling how you're feeling. So they are all perceiving the outside and communicating inside. Right? This is sense perception. Sense, why are the senses made? If you think of the creation which we did in Canto 2, first the sense object is made. Right? So now the object is made, now you have to feel that object. Right? So you get first, Pancha Mahabhutas also come, the elements are also there. So you have air gives, ether. Ether gives rise to sound, which gives rise to ear. So that's, that is the order. First, the medium comes. Then in the medium, there is a goal. Now for that goal, to create sambandha, you need the sense, the ears. So the ear is sambandha, right? Prayojana is ether, and the goal is the sound. Are you getting? So this is sambandha, abhidaya, prayojana. This is your tanmatra, right? So this is the setup. Now in this setup, right, what we have to understand is our senses, they are built for perceiving the outside. They are built. So we cannot perceive inside. And because we cannot perceive inside, we are feeling we are not enjoying. So the demigods are in that stage. They are saying, oh, light is not there. We are not enjoying. Are you seeing how they're perceiving? Sense perception, right? They are feeling they're not enjoying. And now, interesting thing is, usually you will notice, in all of these states where the demigods are suffering, the people of Jana and Tapaloka don't say much. They're a bit quieter. Right? They're in the higher planetary systems and they're a bit quieter. Right? In fact, all the way up to Satya Loka, generally Brahma doesn't say much either. Right? These things are happening and Brahma is like, okay, bad things are happening. But they are not that agitated. Why? Because they have some sense of internal happiness. They have some sense of internal happiness. So whether it's day or whether it's light, they are not looking for light to observe enjoyment. They are understanding that enjoyment is inside and one can enjoy internally. Right? So this is, and if you can appreciate this, when you enjoy outside, where do you feel happy? Inside. Right? You get a beautiful plate of prasadam, then you take it inside. Right? When there's someone is cooking nice puris, smell of cooked puri is very nice. Right? You smell it, take it in. You take these things in. Why? Because at the end of the day, no matter how much we perceive outside, the enjoyment is when it goes in. Is that making sense? The enjoyment is when it's internal. You cannot enjoy it if it stays external. Right? So now this realization the demigods struggle with. That's why they are Sakama Bhakta. They are Sakama Bhaktas because although they are devotees of Krishna, although they understand Vishnu is the supreme, although that perception exists, still they are interested in enjoying the external. Right? And so even as devotees, we will go through this journey. We will go through Sakama, Nishkama, and then finally Akama. Right? So we will go through that journey. We are going to go from step 1 to step 2 to step 3. So we are going to go from being Karma Mishra Bhakti, Karma Mishra, Bhokto Mishra, and then Bhakta Mishra. So finally you will come to that stage. Right? So these are the 3 grades that we will go through. Right? So now here the demigods, they are in the first grade and they are saying that I am not able to see. Now who represents light? Sun God. And Srila Prabhupada very emphatically picks up another controversial point in the purport. Another controversial point when it comes to this scientific presentation that there is only one sun. There is only one sun. Now of course, you have all seen the pictures. was it Andromeda, some big names they have of these suns. They're saying this sun is 10,000 times bigger than our sun, and it's brighter, right? And in science they are expounding all of this stuff. But per Vedas and Bhagavatam, there is only one sun. Only one sun. Everything else is reflecting the prowess and power of our sun. The one sun. Right? And so, in Vedanta Sutra, a brief description, about 5-6 shlokas are given on the sun. This is in the beginning, and then of course more is given later on. But in the beginning, this description of the sun is given. It's one of the topics in Vedanta Sutra that is described. Right? And in that it is explained that the sun, right? The sun itself is managed by 12 Adityas. Now, 12 Adityas are the sons of Aditi. Just like these are the two sons of Diti, Aditi also has children, 12 children. One of them is Vamanadev, right? So we glorify Vamanadev, right? But she has 12. She has Indra, Twashta. Twashta is also one of the sons, right? Then who else is there? Vamana, I remember. Twashta, I remember, because Twashta was unique, so I remember him. Then there are many others. Like there are total 12. There are 12 sons she has, 12 Adityas. And these 12 Adityas, they take 1 month of the year. Right? So we have 12 months. They take 1 month of the year. What are our 12 months? As devotees, what are our 12 months? Keshava, Narayanaya, Madhava, Govindaya, Vishnave. So all of these are the 12 months. They're the names of the 12 months. And they start after Chaturmasya, right? So after Chaturmasya completes, the first month is Keshava. Right? Then Madhava, then Keshava and Narayana, Madhava, Govinda, then Govinda. Like these, the months will come. Right? So these are your 12 months. They're the names of the 12 tilaks. Right? And so these 12 months, each month is picked up by one Aditya. One Aditya picks 1 month. Right? And so each of these months, the Aditya sits on the chariot. And he runs the chariot. Right? So the 12 Adityas, they sit on the chariot and then they wheel the chariot. If you remember when Ghanshyam Prabhu was talking about Vedic cosmology, and then we talked about the single wheel chariot that is sitting on the, I forgot the name of that area where the asteroid belt is in that side. I forgot the name of that area, but there, and then from that the sun goes round and round and gives light. So that chariot is running in that circumference. Right? And then sitting on the chariot are the 12 Adityas. Each month they take the position. Right? So one time Indra will sit, other time somebody, Agni is one of them. Yeah, Agni is one of them. Yes. Agni will sit. And like that, different personalities will sit on the chariot and they will be sun god of the month. Right? They are the sun god of the month. But it is explained that although all these 12 Adityas are considered sun gods, right? They are not the prowess of the sun. So Vedanta Sutra mentions this. They are not. He says, who is the prowess of the sun? And here's interesting, right? Here you get for the first time Krishna in the form of a deity with a mustache. So it is said that sitting is the shining globe of Surya Narayan. And Surya Narayan, he has a shining mustache. So then this description is given. And so we have a form of Krishna with a mustache. I was, talking to the kids in Sunday school. I was telling them that we have Advaita Acharya, right? Advaita Acharya is in the form of an old man. So usually when you read Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and even in the Vedanta Sutra, it is said that Krishna comes in 3 forms. He comes in babyhood, in boyhood, and in adulthood. 3 forms, right? Baby, boy, adult, right? These are 3 forms Krishna comes in. So somebody may say, oh, but then there is no old form of Krishna, is there? Right? There is no old form of Krishna. We have found a limitation in God. So then Advaita Acharya. Here you go. So we have deity worship of someone who's old. And then of course we have another deity worship of someone who's old. Srila Prabhupada. Right? So you have this idea that within our deity worship we get to see all varieties. Right? And Advaita Acharya is wearing with a beard and mustache. Right? So you get all variety. So in deity worship, because you are engaging, that's why this is called Vaishnava Tantra. Deity worship is called Vaishnava Tantra. Why? You get to see the various tanas, the various bodily forms. Right? And interestingly enough, in Bhagavad Sandarbha, Jiva Goswami makes a very interesting point. He says Krishna is unlimited Right? So he's unlimited and then he's limited as well. So he's Swarup Shakti. So when you see him in his form, you can see, oh, there's limited. Meaning, I can go and touch Krishna. Although he is unlimited. Although Krishna is unlimited, I can go and touch him. So Krishna limits himself so we can touch him. Is that making sense? Right? And so then he goes on to, like Jiva Goswami goes on to explains this limited and unlimited position by explaining Damodar Leela. And he's saying that the rope, right, is trying to go around the unlimited, and that is not possible. Right? That is not possible, the rope. He's trying to go the unlimited. Now he's saying that the rope is thinking, how can I go around the unlimited? It is not possible. Right? So, Mother Yashoda ties Krishna. Right? So he's saying that is not possible. So then Jiva Goswami is explaining that, but because of the love of Mother Yashoda, to reciprocate with that love, he limits. He limits. He says, okay, see. And then the rope goes around and then she ties it. So that's interesting, isn't it? This limiting and non-limiting. So Krishna is like that. He is unlimited but limited. So even in deity worship, we get to see those varieties. We get to see the unlimited varieties. Oh, here is an old form. Here is a form with a beard. And then, of course, you have Surya Narayan with the big mustache. Right? So you'll generally see the picture of Surya Narayan. You'll see him with a mustache. Sometimes you may think, oh, this is not prescribed. No, actually it is. This is from, I forget the Upanishad. I think it's Mukunda Upanishad, this shloka. That, they're sitting here with his mustache shining brightly, providing the prowess of the sun is Krishna himself as Surya Narayan. And this is in Canto 5 also, this presentation of Surya Narayan being the prowess that gives light is presented. So Srila Prabhupada now mentions that same point here, that there is only one sun that gives light to the universe. Now one may consider, okay, if that is the case, then how come we are seeing all these various pictures coming out from from science journals, right, of various suns. So in one sense, you have to understand these are imaginary pictures. No one's actually seen the suns that they are all describing. No one has seen them. I don't know if you get to see the pictures. I don't know how many of you have seen those pictures. They have what they call as radio wave pictures or X-ray pictures. And those pictures are just like, completely blurred, and then there is something like, some white light. So then looking at that, they make this, okay, based on this distance, we believe this planet is this big. And so then they imagine the planet to look like that. It's imagination. Right? It's not factual. Now they may say it's factual based on an X-ray picture. But when you look at that picture, it's just a white dot. So it's just, like a black and white picture with a white dot. And then you're like, well, how did this become into this massive sun? Oh, well, distance, calculation, and so it must be this big. Right? And so the reason why I'm bringing this out is, although we take things to be factual in what is described in scientific books, we take it to be factual. When we observe it in reality, they are nowhere near to what is presented. The proof is nowhere near to what is presented. Right? When they present to you the big sun, when you look at the actual picture, you're like, this is not adding up. Right? The two don't look the same. So this is called extrapolation. Now in science, this is accepted. Extrapolation is a valid method. But when we try to extrapolate, then they have a problem. Right? Oh, how are you saying, how can this Radha Gopinath be unlimited? This is Swarup Shakti. Swarup Shakti is where Krishna presents himself in a limited form. At the same time, he is unlimited. This is Swarup Shakti. This is the Antaranga. This is the internal potency of Krishna, the Swarup Shakti of Krishna. That he can limit himself, yet be unlimited at the same time. This is the Achintya Bheda Tattva that Jiva Goswami is presenting. So, coming back here, this aloke, this light is very pertinent for the demigods. The demigods are, very attached to this idea that there must be light so I can see my enjoyment. Right? Now, having realized that this light has been diminished, this ojasa has been diminished. If sun's ojasa has been diminished, then what about our ojasa? It has also been diminished. This vitality has been diminished. Then who do they go to? They go to Vishwashrije. Now here Vishwa Srije is termed as Brahma. Okay? Now this is where you will start seeing how the variations start happening, how the Mayavad philosophers come in. Right? So now one may first consider, okay, Vishwa Srije means, Vishwa means universe, Srije means one who establishes. Right? Shrishti. Srije, right? So Vishwa Srije, why has Brahma's name been taken here? Why does Srila Prabhupada interpret as Brahma? Right? So the first point as Vaishnava, when Vaishnavas read scripture, we read it in completeness. Okay? We don't read it isolated. Whereas whenever you will see Mayavad interpretation, they will always interpret isolated. So this is the first difference, right? This term is called Samgya. Right? In Vedanta Sutra, this terminology is Samgya, and this is encouraged that when you read Shastra, you must read Shastra completely. You must not take one word out of context. That is why we need acharyas to present things. Right? The reason why Brahma is presented, that when you will read the subsequent shlokas, it will be told that they are speaking to Brahma. Therefore, okay, so in subsequent, therefore, when you come back, Samgya, bringing everything together, this Vishwa Srije is Brahma. Making sense? How that interpretation is taking place, right? So, one may consider why is Vishwa Srije attribute being given to Brahma. That is because when you read, and this is where we go back to Canto 2, right? So this is called Samgya, we're bringing everything together. You go back to Canto 2, it is explained that Brahma is given all the tools and techniques to begin the creation, start the creation. Go ahead, start. And then he begins, and then actually even here in Canto 12 and chapter 12 and 13, then Brahma, how he creates, is described, right? So that's why his name Vishwa Srije here is Brahma. Now how the Mayavad would interpret this, right? How they don't do Samgya. They're like, oh, when we read the subsequent shlokas, it is talking about Brahma, right? And when you read subsequent shlokas, the word Bhagavan will be used for Brahma. All of these terms are going to be used. When they come back here, they'll say, oh, therefore Brahma is God. And so we are all Brahman. So we are also God. So that is how they come to their final conclusion that, oh, everybody is God. Are you understanding how they come to that conclusion? Because they are not able to bring Samgya. They are not able to take all the knowledge together. They say, oh, if that is the case, then in Canto 2, why was Brahma worried when he was sitting in his lotus? It is described here in Canto 3 as well. Why he is worried when he was sitting in his lotus? Why did Narad Muni ask Brahma that, my dear Brahma, I see you as the creator, still I see you worshipping someone, so who is giving you the power? Why are all of these statements being made? To give the fact that actually Krishna is the supreme. And all of us, we are spiritual. All of us are spiritual, but in service to Krishna. So this pertinent position of Krishna has to be maintained. So that is why the acharyas, they explain that one should take the Shastra completely together, not one word. Oh, here Vishwa Srije, here they're talking Brahma. Oh, so Brahma is supreme, so therefore I must be supreme. Then you come to that conclusion. That is nonsense conclusion. So this is called, in Vedanta Sutra, Baladev Vidyabhushan makes a very strong point on this, that one should read Shastra in its completeness. And one should conclude to what the Shastra concludes. Right? So in, like when you see Bhagavad Gita, the final conclusion, Yatra Yogeshwara Krishna, Yatra Partho Dhanudara, Tatra Shri Vijayo Bhutir, Dhurva Nitir Matir Mama. That is my opinion. The conclusion is given. Dhurva Nitir Matir Mama. That is my opinion. The opinion of the book is given in the conclusion of the book. What is it? Yatra Yoga Ishvara Krishna. The Krishna, whatever yoga you do, Ishvara must be Krishna. And so this is called Samgya. That yes, I have read the full book, I have read the conclusion, and everything I am reading is aligning to the conclusion. Now you have read Shastra properly. Right? So Srila Prabhupada, when he was interpreting, when he was translating, giving purport, he never missed the point of sticking to the focus, that is Krishna. And you will see in all of his purport, he keeps making that point. That here it is being described, but all of the goal then finally is Krishna. So this is intelligence. So we as devotees, we should reach to this point, this samgya. Right? So yeah, that is it for today. This is a simple shloka. So we'll wind up. We're talking about the output of the pregnancy is now here of Diti. Because of them, the vitality of the demigods has been reduced. Why the demigods are so worried? Because they use light for enjoyment. Right? The light that we see, they use for enjoyment because they want to see their enjoyment. They don't recognize the idea that the enjoyment is internal. Right? And then we described about how Surya Narayan is the source of that light. Right? And then Bhaktisiddhanta Maharaj also uses this point about the God in the eye, Rig, the God in the eye, right? Who is that? Who is the seer? Who is the seen? That was it Drishta and Drishta Puman, right? The one who thinks he is the seer, that is us, and Drishta, one who is actually the seer, Krishna. So that very nice point is being made. And so then we talked about that. Yeah. Then we talked about here Vishwashrije is being described as Brahma. But then the reason why it's been described as Brahma is the subsequent shlokas explain that they had gone to Brahma. Right? And although they present Brahma as God from their limited vision, when we look at Bhagavatam as a full, we start seeing, actually Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. Right? So this was our 4 points for today. So yeah, devotees want to share something? Yes, Prabhu. Sit on the chair. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah, actually, good. Vivaswan is also one of them. Thank you. Vivaswan is one of the Adityas. Yes, correct. Yes. Not all the 12 months. One of the 12 months. He is the prominent, what you say that, he is the ambassador. So if you think who is the sun ambassador, is Vivaswan. But the actual seat, sitting in the chariot and running it, there are 12 Adityas do it. That's why they all have different names, right? So even when you do, for those who do, pray to Lord, to Sun God, then they will take all the 12 Adityas names. But then when you'll see in that prayer, they'll finally conclude that actually Surya Narayan is the highest. That he is the one providing the prowess. So all of this is provided there. Yes, Maharaj. I believe, yes. I can't remember now, but yes, there are 12. The 12 Adityas. I believe Agni is one of them. Vivaswan is one of them. Thanks for reminding. Yes. Swa. Yeah, his consort is Swa. Yes, she's the one that was stolen by Ravana. Yes, answer is yes. The Ravana, then he stole Swa. So yeah. And that big problem happened there. So yeah. No. That's not Sita. That's not Sita. So Swa is Agni's consort. She's not Sita. Sita is Radharani. So just like from Vishnu comes Vishnu Tattvas, Vamanadev, Narasimhadev, right? So from Mother, Radharani, then all the Lakshmi forms come. Shri, Bhu, Neela, then the Rukma, the Dwarakavasis. Then when you enter the material manifestation, then just like Krishna, when he enters the material manifestation, he will turn into Shambhu. So Shiram Dada. So Krishna is milk and Shambhu is yogurt, the turned milk. Right? So that when the milk turns, when it curdles, it becomes yogurt. So then Krishna, because he has to function in the material manifestation, he will turn into Shambhu. Then the shadow of Rama Devi. So Lord Vishnu is lying down. Yeah, there you go. Lord Mahavishnu is lying down there. And his consort is Rama Devi. Then her shadow will come Durga Devi. Then from her, the next set of energies will come. So then Swa comes from her. Yeah. Yeah, from what I understand, yes. From what I understand, Aruna is that's why his birth is so glorious. This is in Mahabharata, this story. His birth, yeah, correct. Jai, Granth Raj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. All Hare Hare.